What's up? Thanks for clicking on this video. It's Tom. I've got basically an axe to grind. Willi Castro, my guy Willi Castro, darling of the channel for sure, former Sire Fort Myers winner. A lot of people suggesting that he may be a payroll casualty this offseason. So let's talk about that. We're going to hit up on five Twins topics, though. Starting off with the payroll space and free agency, because that's kind of where we got to start to get to these Willi Castro discussions. Really, as you can see right above me, Fangraphs, their roster resource by Jason R. Martinez, is projecting that the Twins have an estimated 2025 payroll already of $138 million, which is $8 million more than their final payroll from last season. We've heard reports that the Twins are not going to be increasing the payroll this offseason. The word is it'll stay the same. I think if we're being honest, it's probably easier to expect it to go down even more than go up. So how's that going to work? If the Twins are already above that number, that's really what kills me in thinking about anything regarding free agencies. It's so hard to imagine the Twins signing anybody of any kind of significance. I mean, I put the first baseman up here, and Carlos Santana is the third best first baseman available on the free agent market, according to their Fangraphs war. I don't even think the Twins can sign him, even as a 39-year-old, coming off a great season, but even as a 39-year-old. So that's tough. So we've established there's not even space. There's negative space. So, I kind of get where that conversation has led people to take a look at Willi Castro, because we're looking at the projected arbitration salaries via MLB trade rumors. Willi Castro is the top projected salaries. In his final year of arbitration eligibility, you see they're projected for a $6.2 million salary. He made $3.3 million last year, so that's a pretty decent little jump for him. But based off of Fangraphs war and their valuation calculations, Willi was worth $19.8 million in 2023 and $24.8 million in 2024. So, you combine that just with his positional flexibility, the value he provides to this team in particular, I think is even more so than your average team. I think if anything, the Twins need to be searching for another Willi Castro rather than getting rid of the one they already have. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. There's going to be challenges with that budget that we were alluded to in the last slide. So I get where people's brains are going to Willi Castro. Man, pretty much all I'll say is it'll be a complete embarrassment if Willi Castro, especially if he's non-tendered, that will be a complete embarrassment. Such egg on the face of this entire organization. I have to trust that Derek Falvey is going to be able to get creative enough to figure out a way to work in this salary. A lot of people, looking at projected salaries will point straight to Christian Vasquez and Chris Paddock and say, how do we move that money? Good luck. Good luck. There's not no market for those guys, but teams aren't going to want to pay those guys what they're making. So you're going to have to cover some of that salary. At that point, is it really worth it? It kind of depends on how much you're covering and what you're getting back and what else you have to attach to those guys. So it's going to be difficult, but man, it's going to be an embarrassment if Willi Castro, especially if he gets non-tendered, if he gets traded in a clear salary dump, that will also be just terrible. If that is where we're at, this is more embarrassing than even I can handle. So there's been a lot of talk about Willi Castro I've seen around, and I just wanted to throw that out. I'm sure I'm surprising nobody, but I wanted to get to that. Now, a lot of other stuff I wanted to get to, I already discussed on my guest appearance on the Destination the Show podcast with JD Cameron and Jeremy Nygaard. We talked for an hour and a half. It's available wherever you want your podcast from and right here on YouTube. So go check that out. We talked about a ton of different topics, breakout prospect picks, rankings, had a really great discussion about Marco Raya late, favorite players to watch. We each threw out some names that we would maybe sell high on. Thinking about the Twins just being so handcuffed in free agency, I think if they're going to be active, it's going to be in the trade market. So that's kind of where that discussion idea came from. So it's like, okay, well, which prospects do we think might make for good, tantalizing players to dangle out there? And it's got to be good players. So it was big names. All right, moving on to topic 4, and the World Series starts tomorrow night. So pretty exciting. A lot of people not excited about it, though. Some people overly excited about it. It kind of depends on your perspective. I think us in Minnesota, we're kind of rolling our eyes for the most part, and a lot of other small market areas rolling our eyes at this Yankees-Dodgers matchup. But, I'm going to I'm going to be optimistic about this and give this thing a chance. And yes, these are two of the three biggest payroll teams in the league, the other being the Mets, who made it to the NLCS. So, by the way, no, this isn't the matchup that I was wanting. But, it's not as if these teams have been great. These teams have been great. But it's not as if they've been dominating in the World Series of late. The Yankees last won in 2009. They've won World Series in the past 23 years. The Dodgers last won in 2020, but, under unusual circumstances, it wasn't, it was a World Series win, but it's just not the same. When you didn't play in your ballpark, when you couldn't have the traditional big celebrations and stuff like that, it's just not the same. Prior to that, the last time they'd won was 1988. So, it's not as if these teams are in the World Series every year. It's not as if they're winning rings every year. If we get to that point, yeah, I'm going to start to get fatigued. And, I'm no fan of the Yankees, especially, as a Twins fan, of course. But I think there's kind of there is an attitude toward this matchup, I think, especially from small market team fans, that's maybe kind of unfair in some ways. Yes, it does get kind of obnoxious that these big market teams get talked about so much more and everybody's fawning over this matchup. But, the bottom line, it's probably going to be pretty good for baseball to have the World Series in New York and LA and a bunch of the best and most marketable and most recognizable players in the World Series. So, no, this isn't the matchup that I would have hoped for, but I'm still pretty excited about what's to come here. And then fifth and final topic, just some channel updates. Just want to announce that I will be producing some zines again this off-season. Some of you are probably, what the heck is this guy talking about? Basically just self-printed DIY publications that I mail out, really affordable since I print them up that way. Got some helps with some friends on that Prospect Edition. But we'll be doing a year in review. We'll be doing a Prospect Edition. Would love to do more than that. So keep an eye out for those. I'm pretty excited about this upcoming season, even though it's kind of tough to be a Twins fan right now. I don't think that means that's going to necessarily have to be the case next year. And I think I've got some fun stuff. I think I've got some different ways to approach things. Going to try to talk about the big league club more. That's a tricky thing on YouTube here because there are so many copyright issues and demonetization issues that you can get into there, and it gets frustrating because not everything is super upfront with that, so it kind of becomes trial and error. Yeah, we'll see. I'm optimistic that there will be just as much prospect coverage as usual, and some more videos. I'll put it that way. We'll just put it that way. More content coming from me here. I'm not going anywhere. I would love to be producing more zines too, and I think that's possible this upcoming year as well. So I'm super excited. I'm still constantly blown away at how much traffic I can get talking about mainly the minor leagues of a small market team. It's really an honor to have you spend so much time with me. So thank you so much. We will talk again soon.